What's up, guys? Spin Firearms here, and we're going to start off in this video with what I carry today. Right here we have an FN FNS 9C 12+1 setup in a blacksmith tactical inside the waistband holster with a monoblock that works for everything: gym shorts, sweatpants, bathing suits, snow pants, and so on. A claw and a wedge. And we're carrying Corbin Urban Carry Defense rounds. Absolutely love them. One of the best rounds that are out there, right? And that is with the pinky extension, a really good size handgun, really flat shooter. Then we have an extra carry mag carrier, and that's holding another 12 rounds. Then right here we have a Boker Plus knife, about $81. Super sharp. I mean, extremely sharp. Absolutely awesome. Love it. Functions great. I've messed around with it about 1,000 times. No problems, no issues. Last but not least, a Magpul wallet. I do new construction plumbing, so it obviously gets dirty and beat up, but it's been great. I've had it for a couple years. I have 3 of them sitting upstairs. Never had to switch over to the new ones I bought. I like it that much. I just bought extras when they're on sale on Amazon. In front of us, we have a Kimber CDS9, 13+1 in this setup, or 15+1 in this setup, or with the flush mag that I have to order, 10+1. Then we have a Smith & Wesson CSX 12+1 or 10+1, but it's basically a pointless mag for adding 2 rounds with this amount of space. It just doesn't make sense why they even make the 10-round mags. I get it for mag restricted states, but for people who aren't, just send us 2 12-round mags. Then a Glock 26 with a 13+1 capacity, but we will also be throwing in the 10+1 setup just for comparison reasons, right? Anyways, this handgun right here is about double the price of the other 2 handguns, right? The CSX being about $450 to $500, this being about $1,000, to $1,200, somewhere in that range, and then a Glock 26 running you about $500 for the Gen 3s. This thing shows you why it's that much. Just off the craftsmanship alone, look at the awesome fish scale serrations. Look at the finish on the slide, the finish on the frame, the grip panels, the color coordination with that stainless barrel. The classy writing up top, the awesome fiber optic sights that come with 5 other colors or 4 other colors, blacked out textured rear, optics ready, runs cocked and locked, single action only, 15+1, and like I said, or 13+1 and then 15+1 in that mag, like I said, and an unreal trigger and very low recoil. CSX was the first double stack micro 9, basically with capacity that was 1911 style, right? 12+1 in this setup. Comes with a lot, which we'll compare. And the Glock 26 has just been one of my favorite handguns for a really long time. I've been carrying a Glock 26 for years and years and years. They never let me down, and I have a ton of them. Anyways, right here, 13+1 on the right, 13+1 on the left. So the Glock 26 does beat it. Then you go around the frame. The Kimber is a little bit thinner than the Glock 26. Then you go up top, and they're very similar in length if I go beaver tail to overall slide, but slide to slide is a completely different story. Now, the big ball game changer is the trigger on the Kimber, because the CSX was not liked by people. I really like the CSX, and it's actually one of my most popular videos, but the problem with it is people didn't like the fact that it's single action only, which it's fine because you have a safety and you can just run it cocked and locked. And it's super small. It is actually much smaller than the average person thinks, unless you've held one or seen one at a gun store. They're really small. Up top, like I said, 12+1 on the right, 13+1 on the left. So actually pretty good ratio for capacity. And then CSX slide to slide and, beaver tail to beaver tail are very, very similar, especially in width. So very, very comparable. Very comparable footprints, although the CSX is overall smaller. Now, the CSX has a pretty good trigger, but people didn't like, here's that first trigger pull. That's a great trigger pull. No one can debate that. It's about 5 pounds. I get people wanted 3, 3.5, 4. But it's a defensive trigger at the end of the day, so having a nice, defined, heavy wall, there's nothing wrong with that. No rail, which people complain about as well, but who cares? It's a micro 9. In a self-defense situation, you do not have time to turn on your flashlight. If someone draws on you, oh yeah, let me turn my flashlight on. Okay, now I'm going. No, it just doesn't work like that. Sorry. But like I said, you can run it cocked and locked. But the major problem with this handgun for people was that reset. Now, I'll show you right here. I'll demonstrate. See that false reset or hear it? Ready? That's what did it for people. I talked to a Smith & Wesson rep, and he said that after the reviews came out on it from a lot of these larger gun tubers, it ruined the handgun. It completely tanked their sales. So this handgun has been a complete and utter failure, and that's why they were discontinued. So hopefully they drop a CSX2 or something like that in the future, because the ergonomics on this handgun are just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It feels so good in the hand. You get, 2.5 fingers on it, and which is pretty amazing considering how short it is. They did a really good job at making a very short slide and lower the frame, and then leaving a lot on that frame to hold. But it's probably the most ergonomic Micro 9 out there. It feels really good in the average hand. Plus, the palm swells are removable, so they come with a couple different back straps for this handgun. Great finish on it. I never have any rusting issues. Very little scratching, very little marring on any Smith & Wesson finishes or products from them. They just do a great job. And I've shot this handgun a lot, and I love it. I can mag them to 12+1 in like 2.3 or 2.4 seconds, everything in a 2-3 inch group. That video's up on the channel. So it's a really, really fast defensive gun. The way you ignore that trigger reset is the trigger is so short, you literally just go all the way out, right? So instead of just shooting to reset like a lot of people do, because that false reset will get you, it's such a short trigger, you just pull, right? You just remove quick and go. So that's how I offset that trigger. Right here, the CDS9. Absolutely love this thing. The ergonomics are the best out of any handgun on this table because it is a little bit thicker. It's if the CSX was a tad bit thicker, it would feel much better like this. But this just takes the cake. It's ridiculous. 13+1, really nice high beaver tail. I will say you do feel it a little bit more in the metal framed handguns, the felt recoil. But in terms of overall recoil and muzzle flip, it's a little bit lower because of that weight. So actually a very flat shooting handgun. The shooting review is up on the channel. Awesome texturing, and I will say the CSX has very minimal texturing, but it's actually really good texturing. They did a great job on it. Even though it's just minimal, it basically covers the whole side of your hand, except for here, and then that wraparound. So it actually feels really dang good. This has texturing around the whole entire frame, and you just can't beat it. It just feels really, really good. You also would run this cock and locked. Here's that trigger pull, and no dingus on this. So you're not, running into the problems that people have with the dinguses on the CSX. Nice defined wall, crisp, clean break and reset. Nothing false about it. Nothing false. Just real short, simple, and relatively light. I'd say about 4.5 pounds, something of that nature. Sorry, a little dehydrated. Then we have a Glock 26. Just my overall go-to, and the only reason I brought it into this video is the size. They're relatively comparable in size because of the width, and like I just said and showed you guys, overall length. The Glock 26 is just a little bit bigger. But what you'll notice is this is just a Glock trigger again. So you got, sponginess. It's not going to be like that trigger at all. It's completely different. Reset's still pretty good, but obviously it's going to be a much heavier trigger overall, a little bit spongier, and definitely not as clean as the others. Now, we have a 500 round review of me testing this up on the channel if you want to check it out. No problems. We shot Federal Punch out of this. No problems. 100% reliable. My CSX has now been through thousands of rounds. Never a single problem. 100% reliable. And then I'll show you real quick what it looks like with the flush mag against the Kimber. So the Kimber is 10+1 flush with this back part, right? So it'll look like that. So when we compare them, 10+1 on the right versus 10+1 on the left, it's very interesting. It's actually relatively comparable. That makes it an extremely short, awesome summertime carry. And that's the only reason I wanted to show you guys that. So it's just like my Glock 26 where it's really short. That's awesome for summertime. Summertime, it is hard to not print with certain handguns. I do better with thicker handguns but shorter grips. So typically that's what I carry. That's why Micro 9s and subcompacts are so big to me for EDC. That's just how I can, easily carry without having the awkward conversation, the staring, or being called out at a Chipotle like I did, right? I was with my daughter. I picked her up from dance, just got back from the range, and was carrying outside the waistband with my hoodie over it. So you couldn't see that I had a gun. But it was printing a little bit, and I had a woman actually yell at me, call me out, and basically say I'm putting her life in danger while I was there with my, I think, 4-year-old daughter at the time. These people are crazy. These people are absolutely nuts. It's insane to yell at me in front of my daughter. It's ridiculous. That's the safest time That's the safest Chipotle in the area. So anyways, great handguns. I absolutely love these things. They're all great. You can't go wrong with any of them. You know, a lot of people say that Kimbers have reliability issues, but I just haven't seen it. I own 2 Kimbers now. I own a lot of brands of handguns. You know, I don't discriminate. If it's a good gun, it's a good gun. It's simple. It's not that difficult. And I think this handgun is actually pretty solid. And I think it was an awesome release by Kimber that sort of went under the radar simply due to all the, you know, unreliable claims from a lot of people. And here's the thing. I've seen companies like Taurus completely turn their life around. Taurus completely flipped around, changed, and became an awesome handgun manufacturer. Now, I'm not saying they're perfect, but the way that they upgraded and just changed over time completely changed that company. They started using better parts, better designs, less safety issues, all sorts of stuff. Even though they did have a hiccup with the GX4, they've done great. So I'd like to see that for Kimber. I'd like to see them get their, you know, reputation on the line. It is fine, and it's all fun and games to make fun of companies, say they're unreliable or whatever. But the more options that are out there, the better. Plus, a handgun that looks like this, it's just awesome when it runs. If it's reliable, looks like this, and has capacity, it's the trifecta. And this is literally hitting the trifecta. So hopefully they get their reputation a little bit up, because this handgun's great. And I recommend it to anybody. And if you see one, you know, it's a great handgun. And I'll stand on that. And I guess if you do run into any issues, send it back to Kimber. I'm sure they'll take care of it for you. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.